Carol Stiles at healthykitchens.com, and today I want to show you our brand new Styline Bosch machines, MUM5 models. They are beautiful. This is a European design machine with a stainless steel bowl. In fact, it's the only Bosch machines that we have that the bowl is totally stainless steel. And it is really easy to use, and it's very nice to look at. It is just a wonderful designed machine, and it does the job, and that's what we like here. It comes with the motor, which is 450 watts, the stainless steel bowl. It comes with a little tool bag that has the three tools that we use in here, whipping for doing egg whites or whipping cream. We have the cookie whips here for doing anything in between, and we have the dough hook that lets us make all kinds of dough. Today we're actually going to use the dough hook, and we're going to do some whole wheat bread dough that I'm going to actually make into some cinnamon buns as well. Also, the bag comes with the bottom zip here, and that lets you store the slicer shredder blades. I'll hold them up. And the slicer shredder blades are meant to go in the extrusion shredder, which also comes with this package, and we're going to show this too today as well. Now to make the bread dough, we are going to just pull the machine up a little here into better view, and we're going to push the button on top, and notice that the arm pops up automatically. You don't have to lift it or lower it or anything. This machine is nice and compact. It takes about 10 square inches on the counter. And the bowl, the solid steel bowl, has a nice lip on it so you can grab it. That's really nice. And you can pick it up very easily because, as you can see, everything is stainless steel. This is European stainless steel. And so it's a nice quality. It's got some weight to it, and of course it can go in the dishwasher for cleaning. Now the bowl doesn't just sit in the spot here. It actually locks onto the bowl, onto the machine, the same way our bigger machines do. And so it's ready to go. And the dough hooks go in at an angle, and this creates a really good design. It's a very good design for kneading the dough. We want the dough to knead, not to stir, and because it's at an angle, it moves the dough one way and the other way and the other way. It actually moves the dough around the bowl at 3 different points that you're going to see as we make this bread. Also comes with a splash ring that you can feed the flour through, and we're going to be showing that or using that today as well. Now our recipe today is for cinnamon buns, and when we make bread in this unit, we usually start with about 2½ cups of liquid. This is hot water that I'm putting in, and to the hot water I'm going to add an egg. Now I don't usually put eggs in our regular bread dough, but like I told you earlier, I want to make some cinnamon buns here today, so I want the dough to be a little richer. And so to make it a little richer, we're going to add the egg to it. We're going to use ½ cup of oil and ½ cup of honey that I've already pre-measured here. Sorry, make that ½ cup of oil and ½ cup of honey. And mix ½ cup of liquid. And to that, we're going to add our flour. Now, I'm also going to make this half and half recipe. So it's going to be half whole wheat, or part whole wheat, probably about 5 cups. And about 3 or 4 cups of white flour. Only because I'm, again, making some buns and I want them lighter. So here's our fresh milled flour right out of our Nutri-Mill. And I'm going to start by adding 4 cups of it into the bowl. And so all the liquid's in the bowl first. Then half the flour. And into that we're going to add a tablespoon of salt. You don't put the salt in, your bread doesn't have a whole lot of flavor, so we're going to use that. This is a ½ cup of gluten flour that I'm putting in, and that again is going to be used because that much of it, because I want the buns to be nice and light. So the gluten flour helps to stretch the dough until you get a nicer, lighter, fluffier result. I'm going to use a generous tablespoon of our dough enhancer, which we add in all our breads. It has whey, lecithin, and vitamin C in it. And we're going to put in a little extra yeast. We're going to use 2 generous tablespoons of yeast. Now normally for a recipe this size I would use 1. But again, I want to get this lighter, and so that's one of the little secrets you do. If you want things lighter, put a little more yeast in it. So we've added 2 tablespoons of our yeast. And finally, we're going to put in our milk powder. This is non-instant skim milk powder, and we're going to again use about 1/4 cup of it. So everything's in the bowl there. With a touch of the button, we can put down the arm, and I'm going to put the splash ring on so we don't have any flour flying. It just snaps in place. And I want to show you the on-off button here is at the bottom. So we turn the button on, and when that does, that lights up the dial over here. And we now can then turn it on speed 1 just to start mixing it in so we don't have a lot of flour flying. We're using it on the lower speed. Notice how quiet this is. This is a beautiful, quiet running machine. And that dough hook is doing a super job of pulling and stretching and mixing that in. So while we get that going, I'm going to put another cup of whole wheat flour in. And we're going to add the flour through the top here. Nice convenient opening here so that even sloppy people can get everything in the bowl. And that's the last cup of the whole wheat. And now we're going to start adding white. Anytime that you mix your flours, always put the heaviest flour in first. So in this case it's the whole wheat, and so it's gone in the bowl first, and then while it is kneading, and we're going to add the white flour to make it the stretching. Now I'm going to pop it up to speed 2, which is what we're going to do most of our kneading on. And that lets us knead the dough really well, and I'll show you in a minute here once we get all our flour in. So there's a cup of white flour that we're putting in. And it's mixing it in nicely, so we'll put another cup in here on top. This is going to take about 8 cups of flour altogether. So 5 cups of the whole wheat and 3 cups of white. Now, you always don't follow your recipe. It'll depend on the moisture content, your elevation, the humidity of the day, if it's raining or not, as to how much flour goes in your dough. So we let the Bosch machine tell us when we have enough flour in. And what I can do, once we get kneaded here, I'm going to stop and let you see. Have a good look in the bowl before I put the last cup in, so you can see what I mean by texture. Now, stop the machine here. Now when I stop it, it'll automatically go into the right position and then stop, just like it did there. And I'm going to push the button and lift the dough hook up here, just to take the splash ring off for a second. And if I turn the machine up, it's got little suction cups on the bottom, but I want to make certain you can see this. So up onto speed 2. And can you see what's happening? It's like a 3-point knead. It comes over here, and then it comes over here, and then back there. And each time it progresses a little further around the bowl so that you're getting a really good stretch. Now when we get to this point with making the bread, we can actually take the splash ring off because nothing's splashing out of the bowl. And you can see the bowl is almost clean when I was turning it up there, so I'm going to just put a little more flour. We may not have to use all the 3 cups after all. But that will mix in, and as it mixes in, we want the bowl to become clean. So if the dough is all collecting to the middle and the bowl is clean, then we know we've got enough flour in the bowl. We stop adding the flour to it. So that looks pretty good to me. We're going to let that knead now, so it kneads everything in. Usually we go for about 5 to 7 minutes if we're making whole wheat flour, this half and half, and 8 to 10 minutes if we were doing whole wheat. And if you were doing just straight white flour, it would knead for maybe 5 minutes. But that is kneading, not just stirring it. And that's what's important with the Bosch machine, is that every little bit will get pulled into it and kneaded. We'll come back in a few minutes and see how it's doing. Okay, our dough has been kneading now for about 6 to 7 minutes, and we're about to stop it here, but I want to tell you that when you're making the bread dough, you don't need to use the splash ring on it. The splash ring though can be inserted any time just by adding it, and then it can be removed just by lifting here on the flap on the front and pulling it off. So it's really easy, and it can be used when you're making something that splashes like whipping cream or something liquidy. But for making the bread dough, we don't need to. So we're going to stop the machine, and it'll automatically go into the right position and stop without doing anything. And we'll turn the machine off at this point. And our dough is ready to come out of the bowl. Now we're going to put a little bit of oil on my hands and push on the button. And when we lift it up, what happens is everything comes up, but the dough kind of sticks to it. So the oil in my hand helps me release the dough hook and pull the dough right off of it. We'll give the machine a quarter of a turn, and you can see we've got a nice clean bowl. I'm going to take the dough and let it rest because I'm going to be doing the cinnamon buns. I want as light as possible. So again, with the oil on my hands, I can take it out of the bowl very simply. And we're going to stick it onto a plate and cover it with a cloth, and that's going to rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now, in the meantime, we're going to use the slicer shredder to make nuts for my cinnamon buns. And for doing the slicer shredder, we still have to have our bowl in place so it's locked on. I'm just going to leave it dirty because it's just nuts. So we're not going to worry about it. But if you're going to do carrot cabbage salad, or you want to grate cheese, you can do it right into the bowl because your bowl has to be locked on for it to use. Now this is the protection lid on the top, and you can see how easy it is to lift off. We just push on the back and up it pops. The drive that we're going to use is metal as well for this second drive. There are 3 drives on this unit. The one that we were using for making breads, for doing the whipping and the cookies and so forth. The top one here is what runs our slicer shredder and also our citrus juicer, which will be coming out soon. And there's a 3rd one here on the back, which when the arm is straight down, we run our blender and our food processor. Now this is the slicer shredder attachment here, which is in 2 parts. You have a lid and you have a base. And it also comes with 3 blades. The one we're going to use today is the thick grate blade. On the flip side is the fine grate for doing cheddar cheese, carrots, graham crackers. The thick grate blade's nice for doing mozzarella. The thick and thin slice blade also flips for doing carrots or bread and butter pickles. And the fine grate blade here, wonderful for parmesan or potato pancakes. Making a raw potato stirred is perfect. But I'm going to use the thick grate blade for making the nuts. And we just unlock the unit, top from the bottom, and we're going to drop the blade on top of it and then assemble it back together. And there's 2 little arrows, one on the lid and one on the base. And what we do is we line those arrows up and it locks in place like that when it has a little ball circle there. So it is ready to go. To attach it to the unit, you put it on towards the side here and then turn it to the front, and that locks it in place. Alright, we're going to put the nuts in the top here. I'm using about a half a cup of nuts. You can use more or less, depends on what you like. I'm using a nice whole walnuts. Pecans would be great. But in our cinnamon buns, you could put pieces of fruit, raisins, whatever you like. It can be used in it. Now I'm going to turn the machine on first, and do you see the light that's come on over here? And let's pull it a little bit forward. You see the lights coming on here? That's how we know it's working. Now I'm going to turn it on speed 2 or 3, and that grates our blade, our nuts all right into our unit. And again, it'll go and stop in the right position when we put it on the off button, and we'll turn it off. So that was very, very fast, very easy to grate the nuts. We'll push the arm down to see them all grated here into the bowl. So ready to put onto our cinnamon buns. Hi there, we've come back now to finish our cinnamon buns. The dough has been resting for about 5 to 10 minutes. When I push down on it, you can see it punches back, and that shows that it's ready to go. Got a nice light dough. Now I'm going to divide this in half, because about half of this makes a nice 9 by 12 pan of cinnamon buns. The rest of it we can use to make a loaf of bread later out of it. So to do the cinnamon buns, we're going to put a little bit of oil on the counter and spread that around with our hands into a rectangle shape, since that's the shape I'm going to try to get here with my bread dough. And we'll take it and we're going to stretch it with our hands. So we get a nice thin shape to it, nice stretch to it because of the gluten that's been developed by the Bosch Styline machine here in its kneading action. So we stretch it out. You could use a rolling pin if you wish to get the shape that you wish, or just use your hands like I'm doing here. Now, if you make the rectangle vertically and you roll it up, you're going to get humongous cinnamon buns. I don't want them that big, so I'm going to do it horizontally here. And when I get a nice thin shape here, we'll stop. Okay. Lots of stretch. Now we're going to add some of the butter. Now this is a soft butter that's been out of the fridge a bit, so it's easy to spread. You also, if you want to reduce the fat making the cinnamon buns, you can melt the butter and just brush it on with a pastry brush, and that way you're getting less fat in it and still the flavor from the butter. I'm not making these particularly health conscious. We're going to make decadent cinnamon buns here, and so we're going to just spread it on nice and thick. Alright, to the butter we're also going to put in brown sugar if you wanted to. Again, this could be substituted if you wanted to put a date sugar in here, would work just nicely. Anything that you want to add on to this can be put in at this point as well. Like I mentioned earlier, raisins could be put into your cinnamon buns. We're going to add our chopped nuts that we did here earlier. Now, the more you put on, the sweeter they become. So, like I said, it's up to you how much you're going to put in or on at this point. I want them nice and sweet. Alrighty, and finally we're going to put a little bit of cinnamon on in here. I'm just going to sprinkle it in. Again, it's to taste. So if your family likes a lot of cinnamon on it, you can put a lot of cinnamon on it at this point. But we just want enough to give a great flavor to it. And here's the nuts that we just did in the slicer shredder into the steel bowl. And we will spread them on as well. Okay, so we have everything on our cinnamon buns right now. And we're going to start rolling it from the bottom to the top as tight as you can, all the way across the dough. And we roll it up, trying to keep as much of the nuts and cinnamon and butter, everything inside the dough. Oh, these are going to be so gooey, so wonderful. We don't do cinnamon buns a lot, but they're certainly a real treat for our family when we do them. And they really appreciate it, let me tell you, especially my son. Anyways, I'm going to seal the tops here where it ends. We'll just seal it nice and tight by pinching it all the way across. And now, to cut the cinnamon buns, we're going to use a piece of dental floss. And I'm going to pull out a nice long one and cut it off. See? There we go. And just going to wipe my hands here so I can hang on to the dental floss better. And I have a 9 by 12 pan here ready to get our cinnamon buns in. And before I put the buns in, though, I'm going to give it a spray with the Vegeline. Vegeline is what we use for anything that we're going to bake with or fry with. You don't have to grease the pans, and we certainly love that. Now we'll just reseal this here at this end and take our dental floss here. So I've got it around each finger in each hand. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to go down and cut it in the middle. Okay, so we've taken the thing and cut it in half, and then we're going to cut each of these things in half. So one on each end. And then I want to make 3 thirds, 3 cuts out of each one of these ends. This is how you get it nice and equal, so you don't have great big cinnamon buns and then little cinnamon buns. So we'll just go along the edge here, and lost my grip on it there. and cut it as we go along. And you can take the buns out here, each one singly, and we'll drop it in the pan one at a time like so. You can see what a nice picturesque bun they make here. So we drop them all into the pan. We then, after we get the buns in the pan, we let them rise for approximately 20 minutes to a half an hour until they're about double. I like to put them in a warm place, maybe cover them with a tea towel, but you also could put them in the oven to do that at 150 degrees and let them rise in the oven. And then we're going to turn the oven on to 375 and we're going to bake them for about, again, 20 minutes or so until they're nice and brown, and then you turn them out. And when we're finished, we end up with these nice cinnamon buns that we've actually added a frosting to that we've done on one of our other demonstrations. You can see what a nice shaped cinnamon bun this makes and a nice flavor to it with the frosting on it. So if you're interested in getting a Bosch Styline machine, you can give us a call at our toll-free number here at healthykitchens.com. It's 1-888-735-1044. Happy baking!